Hi guys, I thought today would be a nice day to give you a tour of the vegetable garden, as I haven't done that in many videos. It's rained for a few days, the weeds have grown a lot, so I'm going to get out there and do a bit of work today and show you what I'm up to. Before I start, I'm going to get around and do my daily jobs, looking after the animals and plants, and then I'll get on with a nice day in the garden. Can you see? Touch. Good. So go to bed. These are my flock of sheep. They keep the land nice and clean for us, and yeah, to keep them healthy I have to move the cage every day. But I've got two pens, one for the dog training and one for these guys, and we've got to make sure they've got a clean bedding every day so they're nice and comfortable, so we've got to move the pens every day. But as soon as the livestock guardian dog is trained, they'll stay out all night and he'll look after them, so they won't need to be put away at night. But these guys are great. They clean the land for us, get rid of the fire hazard, and they convert that into manure, which we can use in our garden. So where we're working today is completely organic, and all the fertilizer comes from our sheep, chickens, and our composting, as well as our worm farms. So it's completely organic, and it's all thanks to these guys. I spent hours just sitting and hanging out with them. They are really fun. So these guys keep this forest nice and clean for me, so they're great. So now my daily jobs are done, I have a quick coffee, and then it's time for me to get started with my day in the sun gardening. Hopefully it doesn't get too hot, but it's in much need of care, so come with me. So before I take you around the garden and show you all the different beds, I'm going to quickly get the strimmer and cut some of the long grass around the bed so you can see everything better, and also ever since COVID, we haven't had as many guests here to feed or to help with the garden. So we really took all the focus away from vegetables. We have a lot of agroforests here, we have food forests, we have animals to take care of, and we have a lot of work to do. So what we've been focusing on is automating the farm rather than growing vegetables, which is a lot of work for little return. So we've been automating all of the agroforests and reforestation with automatic irrigation. So that saves me about 3 hours a day in the summer. We've fenced loads of areas for the sheep, which means that we don't have to scrim there. That saves me about a week a year in work. So I've got a few more things to automate. We've got automatic chicken door, and we can control a lot of stuff from my app on my phone. So now I've got everything more automated. I can start to ramp up vegetable production without increasing the amount of work, because the biggest work here in Portugal is the irrigation. So we're just starting to grow stuff again in the vegetable garden here, but it's all automated. So it's watered automatically, and if it looks thirsty, I just get my phone out and water it. I don't have to run around turning on pumps and changing taps and all this sort of stuff. It's all done with electronic valves and stuff like that, and a controller. So I do recommend, if you're doing gardening, just set up automatic irrigation before you start planting anything, because at some point you end up having far too much to manage if you're like us and really like the garden. So I'm going to take you around the garden and show you some of our beds. So here I've got our sunken beds. I've got a video on how we made these, but these are basically underground beds which have compost in, so it's a bit cooler down there, and also it stays more moist. So these are all on automatic drip irrigation. I just have to go around to these tomatoes now and again and just wind them up the string so they don't fall down, and check for any suckers. So this is one bed of tomatoes. We've got quite a few beds around. Here we've got some peppers, so I've got to get in here and weed these. Here are loads more peppers in the sunken bed. You can see that these peppers have a lot of fruit on them, so I'm going to harvest these in a bit. I like to keep herbs in all the beds. So we've got fennel and Korean anise hyssop, and it seems to be doing really well. Every plant has lots of big peppers. These ones are cherry tomatoes, so I'm going to come through here and weed in here in a bit and harvest. Got quite a lot of these cucumbers, nice cucumbers, big cucumbers. I've also got some gherkins growing somewhere. I think these might be the gherkins. Got these seeds from a nice lady at the supermarket, or the local market. Got herbs everywhere. There's sage by the hazel tree, the pear tree. Look at all this thyme. Got all the thyme in the world. This is sitting here under this young pomegranate tree, which is behind this cork oak tree. So this is the area which I just trimmed. So we've got a line of trees, pear trees, to put shade on. We just planted those, and in between we have lemongrass. So this will be a bush of lemongrass, and next to every tree is a ground cover. So this is something to stop the weeds. So this is a geranium that smells nice, and this one has a comfrey as a ground cover, and this one, next one, has tansy. Anyway, lots of different ground covers. We have lines here of vegetables. So you've got one line of courgettes, and then behind we've got lines of pumpkins, sunflowers and watermelons. At the back we've got what's going to be a hazel bush we just planted. We've got blueberries and these hazels, a line of hazels, and these are to give a visual barrier to the solar shower which is behind. So I need to come in here and weed. I've done an initial trim, but I need to come back through and weed. Here are the sunflowers coming. These are all coming for some reason a bit late. They were seeded early, but I guess we didn't have a lot of rain. Like to have herbs everywhere. That's sage. Here's a peach tree we planted when we moved here. In fact, all the trees we planted, we moved here. This is a little hedgerow of herbs we planted, all different types of herbs and nitrogen fixers and flowers, and these are all basically to help bring predatory insects and beneficial insects into the garden. We've got quite a few beds like this. This is asparagus, so this is now growing to back to a fern, but we planted these here for a seed 4 or 5 years ago, and well, nearly 6 years ago I think. And so These are now growing back to ferns, but we have been harvesting these every day through spring and early summer. It's pretty much the best vegetable to grow. It's so easy to grow, and once you plant it once, it gives you vegetables, gives you asparagus every day for years and years and years and years. You just got to weed it now and again. So it's a really good, yeah, it's our favourite bed. We've got quite a few asparagus beds. Here we have a strawberry bed. So this strawberry bed's just been weeded, and it needs and it's had some straw put around it. Here we have kohlrabis and beetroots. Just going to show you over here is I'm training this grapevine which we planted to be a tree. So it's now all hanging down, but I need to try and train this to go across the path to give me shade. Here are some strawberries that need to finish weeding today and put some straw around them. The straw helps keep the soil nice and cool, and more to the point, the straw helps reduce the weeds. Here's an apricot tree we just planted last year, and it's already given an apricot. We have more courgettes here. This is mulched with straw. As well, here is some watermelon mulched with straw, but the straw had seeds in, so that's growing. We can cut those and mulch them. That is a almond tree. Next to the almond tree we have a row of greens. So these are like kales and chards and stuff like that. And then we have this lovely row of tomatoes, another row of tomatoes. So I'd go through here again and just help things up the string. Just helps it stay upright. Twist it around like that. So there's 2 rows of tomatoes here, 2 different types. We built this lovely structure on the permaculture design course. It was one of the projects of the students to design this. They harvested the timber from the trees, and they burnt the bottom. They built it, they planted it, they put in the string, everything. Here is another sunken bed, an earlier version. It's without the wood supporting it. Anyway, if you want to understand more about the sunken beds, watch the other video. But these are full of eggplants. You can see it's absolutely loaded with eggplants. Every single plant, I think, has one. Eggplants seem to come a bit later, unless you hand pollinated them, but we're doing well there. More strawberries, and a lovely almond tree full of almonds. Looking forward to harvesting these, not looking forward to de-shelling them. Some cabbages over there. Over here is our greenhouse. It's a straw bale greenhouse, and it's a wonderful spot. So actually the greenhouse is full of plants that are doing really well. I used to have to water this every day by hand, and now it's on an automated irrigation system. So it actually comes on by itself on an app. In the greenhouse we have these worm farms in bathtubs, and they collect worm juice out the bottom, which I just used this morning. I've got worm farms in tubs like this, in tubs like this. In this greenhouse we've got plants planted to grow up the wall. So these are passion fruit. So this is to create a visual barrier for the shower that's in here. We've got loofahs growing up that wall onto the ceiling to also create shade, so we don't need to use shade cloth. So there's a curtain here, behind there's a shower, and so actually we want to remove the curtain eventually and have another wall there of a solid plants for a second visual barrier. But you can see the wonderful greenhouse shower here. And it's just surrounded in green. It's got this lovely piece of artwork just done for us by Heather. Thank you, Heather. There's a ballerina in here. We use this to heat the water, and in the winter that also then heats the room. So yeah, really loving my greenhouse at the moment. So coming out that greenhouse shower, under this rock comes all the water, and there's actually a drainage system that comes here to to a raised hugelkultur bed. As you can see, this is in dire need of some TLC, but the main work is done. The hugelkultur bed is done. The grey water comes under the ground. So we're going to put aquatic plants here, all along here. I'm going to do another asparagus bed on this hugelkultur bed next to this apple tree. Behind the greenhouse here, we've got this nice row which gets a lot of shade. This has a lot of herbs along here, like lots of different herbs. Coriandus hyssop's a really good favourite of mine. This actually is a grapevine. It's going to grow up here to put shade above us. We can never have enough shade. Mugwort. There's always so much stuff here. This is a plum tree. Marshmallow, which actually from the roots you can make marshmallows, and tansy. Here we have a salad garden, so it's 3 beds and the teepee behind where the guests will stay in the yoga retreat. But these beds have so many types of salads. There's coriander here, lettuce, about 6 types of kale, herbs, parsley, basil, rocket, spinaches, lots of different types of lettuces. So right now you can see this lettuce is about to go to seed. We might be able to eat that. This is a newer one, and the newer one still. This lettuce has gone to seed, so today I'll take these out. I'm going to take out a lot of the stuff here and replant new salads. It's really nice to have the salad garden near the house and have all the salads in one bed, so it's easy for people to pick a salad. We like to have many types of greens in the salad. This is actually a sunken hugelkultur bed. So basically we dug a big ditch here. This was dug underground, full of wood, and then compost, and that just keeps this really moist. So it just has a few drips of irrigation, again from the automatic irrigation. So these have gone a bit bitter for us, but we'll take these out, turn these into fresh eggs. So here next to the chicken run, it's our chicken compost system, and we've actually got another food forest here. We called it the chicken food forest. So you watched another video on that. So it's over that fence there where the chickens actually get to go in there and eat some whatever we don't eat. Look, there's some damson prunes I can see coming there. Our first time for having those. And over on the other side of this fence is an agroforest where you're also growing some veggies, but mainly fruit trees and nut trees. And over behind that is another newer silvopasture with some cabbages and pumpkins and things like that. So yeah, all in all, quite a lot growing all over the place. This apple tree is giving us apples for the first times. We literally have hundreds of fruit trees. In fact, we have over 100 different types of fruit trees. I think we have over 200 types of fruit and shrub trees that give edible food for us. So, all in all, it's a lot of work. Next to every kitchen should be a herb garden. So here we need to harvest and dry. I mean, this is absolutely loaded with 5 types of thyme, different types of oregano, marjoram, sage, medicinal herbs, chives. But now this yoga room is in the way of the kitchen and the herb garden, so what am I going to do? This is the Back to Eden garden. So basically this has all been composted, covered with cardboard and wood chips. Some grass is coming through, which will happen eventually, but we just need to keep on top of adding compost and wood chips. So I'm hoping to get lots of pumpkins out of here this year, watermelons and courgettes. Anyway, I'm going to pop over past my house there, and we're going to have a look at my other little garden next to my house, which is our chili garden and our frost-free garden, where we keep some nice precious plants. is our straw bale house, and you can see there's lots of nice plants doing really well all around it. And basically, again, that's due to the automatic irrigation. So without that, we wouldn't be able to grow so much in so many places of the farm, just because watering takes up a lot of time. So here's the garden next to my house. It's got a lovely flower garden in front, which my mother made, all on the automatic irrigation. And then this in here is our chilli garden. So we've got chilies all mulched with this straw. So we've got 2 types of chilies there. Then we've got a row of 3 more types of chilies. There's a lime tree, a jacaranda tree at the back there. Along here's another 2 types of chilies, or 3 types of chilies. Some are overwintered, some we've just planted. We've got jujube trees here and baby sage and all types of different plants all the way around. An avocado tree there at the back. So you've got lots of trees for shade here, for flowers, but mainly chilies. One of my favourite gardens here, just because it's the one we've been working at for the most years. So the soil is really good. I love this back area here, it's just pure herbs. It's like a jungle of herbs. And blueberries, look, they're nearly ready. Every year this garden's been completely different. Just keeps getting redone, but now we've kind of gone for this method. Now we've got automated irrigation, everything's on this drip system, so we can't really change the shape of beds anymore. So you've got to have a really good plan. You've got to have a really good plan for your garden beds from the beginning if you want to get it all set up nicely so you haven't got to change it. We've made mistakes every year. So usually, now it's summer, after a day in the garden, I'll have a beer, sit in this pool. This pool is used to be a pigsty and we've converted it into a pool. So have a beer, sit in there and give it a bit of a clean. So I'm here in our new yoga room. We just built this over the last couple of months, which has taken a lot of time away from the farm. But this wall is built with cordwood, logs of wood and clay from the farm. And yeah, so I've just come in here to get away from the wind, and that sun is getting really hot. But anyway, if you enjoyed the video, please do subscribe and leave a comment. And thanks very much for watching.